Hey, everybody. Welcome to Paynesville Live. Janell Bullard joining you with
Mary Holmberg.
Thanks for tuning in this evening. We've got some stuff to chat about today.
Yep, and we're going to start with talking about the referendum, and then we're going to talk a little bit about family groups. So, Janell, are you ready to go to talk about the vote?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Fantastic.
So
let's
here
get
we
started
are.
right away. All right. Ms.
What do you wanna
Bullard,
know?
can you please share with us the outcome of the referendum?
Yes. I frankly wish I was sharing a different outcome. However, the results of the referendum vote were 629 noes to 537 yeses. So what that means is that the referendum did not pass. Unfortunately, I guess I was very much hoping to be able to say, sweet, thank you. But I still want to say thank you to the 537 people that got out to vote, because to be honest with you, I was still impressed by the voter turnout in an off year.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was a school board election and a referendum, and we had over 1,000 voters. I think that's pretty good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, people are out there exercising their right to vote.
For sure.
That's awesome. So what does this mean, Janell, moving forward?
So what this means is that we're going to come back again in the fall. So the reason we asked for the operating referendum is really because this is the way that we sustain our operations. And so we still need to come back to the voters, and we'll just come back in the fall with additional information. One of the things that we really want to try to understand is why the voters didn't support the operating referendum, and maybe help them understand how schools are funded, why we get a set amount of money from the legislature and how that maybe can be used and can't be used. And so we're going to do some work. I'm going to do some work. So if anybody wants to help me out with that to understand better what you need to know from us, we're going to do that. We're going to just really kind of try to understand, what do you need to know from us as a school to know why we're asking for the funds that we're asking for.
Perfect, because there are still some questions out there and some unanswered questions. So that sounds like a really
Yeah.
nice plan. Janell,
sure.
can you tell us a little bit more about the history of voting here in Paynesville for referendums and levies and things like that?
Yeah, you bet. So, and one of the things that I honestly, I kind of chuckle, because I've heard, like, are you always asking us for like, you're always asking us for money? Well, and it kind of feels that way, but that's part of what a school process is. So just as a reminder, in 2012, that's when the voters approved an operating referendum that's going to expire in after next year. So that's why we were asking this year, in hopes that we would not be facing kind of like as significant of a cliff. We are facing reductions, which is, we'll talk a little bit about that too. But so that was what was passed in 2012. In 2014, there was a capital levy that was passed as well. And so that was for more, there was a lot of discussion around some infrastructure. And so the armory, and there were some different, very specific types of things. That one was also for 10 years. So we're nearing the expiration of that one as well. And then in 2019, that's the bond that was just passed. And the bonds are for buildings. Yeah. So the bond that was passed in 2019, that's what just built the building. And so I know there was a lot of question about, like, well, didn't we just give you money to build that? And yes, you did. And we're absolutely grateful for that, because our space is amazing. But the bottom line is that the funding that came for that had to be used only for that purpose.
Just for the building and the structure
the
itself.
building, the structure. It can't be used, and it couldn't be used to operate. It couldn't be used for teachers. It couldn't be used for curriculum. It couldn't be used for any of, like, the operations of it. Had to be used very specifically for the building itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the referendum that was just voted down was one that would help support not just the PAC and not just the new CTE space, but all of our buildings and the operational side of what that
Yes.
looks like. It's kind of the behind the scenes. It's the people, it's the things inside, it's the curriculum.
Yeah. So operating an operating referendum, really what that is like the cost of doing business, right? So that's the way that we keep our lights on. It's the way that we pay our salaries. It's the way that we look at bringing in the supplies for our kids to do new programming and cool stuff like that. We have some really fun opportunities for grants, but those types of grant funding is one-time money.
Right.
And I think that's something that sometimes people they think, well, can I just write a grant for something? And that might be a nice onset of like, ooh, I can buy this, but then to sustain it, that's where that operations money really comes in. And so it's really an important reminder that we have to maintain our salaries, our heat, our the supplies that go into our classrooms, and all of the really support all the really cool innovative stuff that we've been able to bring in to our district.
Yeah. Fantastic. That makes good sense. So what happens next?
So next, unfortunately, there's going to be some hard discussions, and administratively, we have to talk through kind of really what does that mean. Even coming into this year, a couple of work sessions ago at the board meeting, I talked about looking at $197,000 worth of reductions this year, even without that was anticipating hoping that a referendum would pass, because that's just where we are with our enrollment and the funding that has been coming in. So we're going to have some really tough discussions just about what do we do next and where do we go. I also think that again, I'm just really going to be asking a lot of questions to understand what do you need to know. So I'm hoping that maybe someone will pop some questions in here and we have something coming across the screen and we can answer some of those questions. But nonetheless, we're going to just get back out and say, what do you need from us to understand why we're asking for that operating referendum. So, and I guess I'm going to I really would like to shift for a minute, if you don't mind, Mary.
Absolutely.
So, because I want to talk about some of the awesome, fun things that we do and that we get to do and what the stuff is that we offer. And one of the things that I think is so fun and so amazing are our family groups. Will you tell me a little bit about our family groups?
I sure can.
Yay.
So family groups started this year. We actually started this process about a year and a half ago, so pre-COVID. And Jen Wers, Christy Zimmer, Matt Bullard, and I wrote a grant. And keep in mind that our infamous Jen Wers is the person that steer-lined the whole thing. She was our head. And we work with the Prairie Cares Foundation and applied for a grant to work on social emotional learning and social emotional wellness. And part of that is the 7 Mindsets curriculum that you hear us talking about all the time.
Totally.
So we thought if we're going to bring in the 7 Mindsets curriculum district-wide and then get our families involved, well, how can we get our kids involved in the practice of the mindsets and social emotional learning? And what does that look like for them to understand where they're at social emotionally and to regulate themselves and then to become student leaders?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, to become a part of what we do.
Sweet. So this year, was this originally supposed to start last year?
Yes. So the original plan was everything was happening last year. So last fall, in the start of the 2019-2020 school year, 2020-2021 school year, pardon me, our teachers were all trained in the 7 Mindsets. Pre-K through 12, every teacher in our district was trained. And that was fantastic in the 7 Mindsets. So then we did, at the elementary, we implemented 1 mindset a month. With celebrations at the beginning and the end. And then COVID happened, right? And so through that, we did 7 Mindsets virtually.
Oh, yeah.
But because of COVID, we weren't able to start the family group process because we couldn't commingle our children.
Oh.
So, and the essence of family groups is you're a family. So we have a kindergarten student, a first grade student, a second grade student, a third grade student, a fourth grade student, and a fifth grade student that are part of the family. So we have...
So from like different classrooms. So I have a kindergartner from one classroom, a first grader from a different one. And that's my family cluster.
Yes. So we had at the time when we started organizing this, we had a team of 8 staff people that met in the first summer. And we had 54 family groups. You're seeing them on your screen right now, according to number. So there were 54 fifth grade students, and our fifth grade students are our family group leaders. Okay, so that's how we organized the 54 groups. And so once a month, the plan was that the students would meet and their topic was the 7 mindset of the month.
For sure.
And we couldn't start because of commingling. So we brought it back this year, which in reality worked really well. You would have thought that we planned it that way. So students learned year 1 of 7 mindsets. Staff were trained in it. Now we're in year 2, which is a new set of curriculum in the 7 mindsets from the program. And our children, our students are now able to learn the mindset of the month in year 2, and then we apply it in the family group. So it's a review of the concept, a new way to apply it, and they learn and practice the skill with their family groups. And every family group has one adult leader. So I don't have a group. I'm a sub if someone needs to be gone, but all of the adults, all the paras have a family that they meet with once a month.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's like almost a silver lining, because our kids got to understand the curriculum and they got to understand the concepts before they started like living it and integrating it.
Right.
Wow.
And so
that's
now,
cool.
each activity, each of our family groups meetings once a month begins with a warm up, kind of an opportunity for kids to mingle. It might be put your name on a piece of paper and throw it in the middle. We call it snowball. And they grab that name and they say, hello, Janell. Hello, Matt. And then that way they get to know each other. They created a team sign, a secret sign. So maybe it's a microwave, maybe it's half a heart. And then if I see someone in my family in the hallway, that's our secret silent sign, right? And it's working. The kids are getting to know each other.
Wow.
The staff have taken ownership for their families. You're seeing the pictures up on the screen periodically. And it's just, it's so fun to have the kids from different ages and grade levels working together.
Wow. And what an awesome opportunity to get our fifth graders to develop leadership skills. Are you surprised by what you've seen?
I'm surprised. I'm not really more impressed than surprised, right? Because we can't underestimate our kiddos, but the impact that they're having on each other and the impact and the leadership that our fifth grade children are sharing with the children and their families is unbelievable. So Christy Zimmer and Jen Wers meet and teach social emotional learning lessons within our classrooms each week. And the week before our family groups, they train the fifth grade students to lead the lesson. And so all the materials are prepared. And so it's really the fifth graders leading the family group lesson with the adult being the facilitator, right?
Wow.
Helping out with little behaviors and just on the fly, if everybody goes silent for whatever reason, that's when the adult steps in and assists. But otherwise, they're right there on the floor together in the cafeteria together.
Oh, how awesome. And you know, what a better way to demonstrate learning, right? Because if you can teach it, you know it at a whole different level. So that's so awesome. Very cool.
And we're seeing results on playgrounds when, so we have two different sets of kids that kind of rotate in and out through our recess time. And we're seeing the connection with the children of all ages in these families. And staff are already talking about, what's the sustainability of this? And we said, well, this year, at the end of the year, our families will bid farewell and congratulations to their fifth grade leaders. And the fifth grade leaders kind of hand the baton off to their fourth grade teammate. And then next year we assign a kindergarten to the same family. So ultimately, if you, Janell, had a family group number 37, let's say, you would keep all of your K through 4 kids next year and add as everyone bumps up. So
my fourth grader becomes my leader.
Yes.
And I welcome in a little kindy.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. And they're your family as long as you're here.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So I can't wait to see where we go by the end of this year and what we put in place for next year.
For sure. So those are the cool things that are happening within our schools.
Yes.
And like those ideas and those concepts and like bringing that to life. How exciting is that?
And it's all about connections, right? That social emotional piece of understanding that we're all different, but we can all be part of something that's so much bigger than that. With a theme that's school wide.
And what a huge life lesson. And I love the other piece I love about that is it takes everybody in the school and it connects everybody in the school to the kids.
Yes.
And that's huge.
And the kids to everybody in the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For certain.
It's a great feeling. Stop by the day before Thanksgiving. We're having family groups that morning.
All right.
Yes.
Well, as we kind of wrap it up for today, Matt, I'm going to just do a quick pause and see if we have any questions that came through.
No.
Nothing so far. So, Mary, thanks for joining me today and sharing some of the exciting stuff that's happening here, because that's why we're here. That's what we do. And I think that's just a good reminder about, why we come back and say, hey, we got some really cool things happening here at Paynesville.
Absolutely. So, and with a little luck, we'll be able to have all the parents back in to enjoy some of the family group activities, or even a culmination at the end of the year so you can enjoy and see how important those relationships are for kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So I think as we close, Janell, is it okay with you if we do just post all of the pictures of our family groups, kind of stream them?
I would love it. All right. Enjoy, everybody.
Thank you.